There is a quiet violence in shame. It does not always announce itself with shouting or drama. Often it arrives like a small stone dropped into still water, a rumor, a pointed joke, a clipped message. And the ripples touch friends, business partners, and opportunities. Shame is designed to move you where you don't want to go. Inward, silent, contracted. It steals breath and clarity. Machiavelli, writing for princes who could not afford sentiment, taught us something simple and uncomfortable. Power is not inherently cruel. It is practical. When someone seeks to shame you, they are trying to reorganize the social map so that they sit on higher ground and you are on the defensive. The wise response is not a roar or a mirror of cruelty. It is a set of quiet choices that reclaim your agency, repair your story, and remove the shame's leverage. This is not about retaliation. It is about neutralization, removing the fuel that feeds the shame. Of all the lessons in strategy and human nature, the most useful is mastering your inner economy, which emotions you spend, which battles you choose, and which reputations you cultivate deliberately. Here you will not learn how to hurt another person. You will learn how to become unburnable. We will draw on Machiavellian clarity and modern psychology to build a steady, moral posture that strips shame of its currency. Think craftsmanship, not cruelty, a calm architecture for your life, where gossip cannot find purchase. Imagine yourself as someone who moves with reserve, who frames narratives before others can, and who rewrites the social ledger by careful action. The techniques that follow are clinical in tone, gentle in delivery, and rigorous in effect. They teach containment, narrative control, strategic patience, and humane dominance. The kind that protects, restores, and preserves your dignity. If you prefer drama, this is not the path. If you want lasting, dignified restoration of power, listen closely. Number 1, control your inner weather. Emotional mastery as armor. Shame's first weapon is always your reaction. The instant you flinch, defend, or stumble, you confirm the script others expect of you. In psychology, this is known as emotional contagion, the process by which people subconsciously mirror the emotions of those around them. If you show distress, others amplify it. If you remain calm, their energy diffuses. This is why Machiavelli and other classical thinkers viewed composure not merely as a virtue, but as a political instrument. When faced with humiliation or criticism, the person who maintains self-command shifts the balance of power. Instead of becoming entertainment for onlookers, you become a study in restraint. Practicing a 2-minute delay before responding is a simple but profound act of self-mastery. During this brief silence, your body and brain recalibrate. Heart rate slows, the amygdala, the brain's fear center, quiets, and your rational mind regains control. Neuroscientists call this process response inhibition, the ability to override impulsive emotional reactions. In those 2 minutes, breathe deeply, name the emotion. I feel embarrassed, I feel angry, and remind yourself that feelings are temporary signals, not orders to obey. Training micro-habits, such as using a grounding phrase like stay centered or taking a deliberate exhale, helps build what psychologists term emotional regulation. It's the invisible armor of self-possession. Over time, these micro-habits rewire neural pathways associated with stress response, allowing you to recover equilibrium faster after emotional jolts. In social settings, this subtle control communicates power. The one who remains steady while others flail becomes the anchor of the room. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Composure was not passivity, but strategy, a way to deny adversaries the spectacle they crave. Modern behavioral studies agree. Observers are more likely to respect, trust, and follow individuals who maintain calm under pressure. Emotional steadiness projects authority, while reactivity erodes credibility. Think of composure as psychological aikido. You use the momentum of another's attack to center yourself, not to retaliate. Gossip and shame thrive on reaction. They feed on emotional energy. When you refuse to perform outrage or defensiveness, you deprive them of oxygen. Over time, people stop testing your boundaries because there's no reward in it. Calm becomes a kind of quiet power, a signal that you cannot be provoked into losing dignity. Eventually, your presence itself becomes instructive. Others unconsciously begin to mirror your stillness, proving a subtle truth. People follow those who master themselves. Number 2, reframe the narrative. Gentle, precise storytelling. Rumor spreads fastest in silence. When someone distorts your story, the lack of your voice becomes fertile ground for misunderstanding. In psychology, this is known as the information vacuum effect. When people have incomplete information, their minds naturally fill the gaps with speculation. That's how rumors thrive. The best counter-strategy isn't outrage or defensiveness. It's clarity. By calmly framing your truth first, you anchor the narrative in fact before anyone else can twist it. The key is to communicate with simplicity and emotional neutrality. Start with one concise statement that defines the truth. Follow it with a brief, verifiable example, and end with your corrective action. For instance, that statement doesn't reflect how I work. Here's what actually occurred, and here's what I'm doing to ensure it's handled. This approach uses cognitive framing, a psychological tool that shapes how others perceive events based on the structure and tone of your response. When you present facts in this clear, grounded way, you activate what communication experts call the primacy effect. People tend to believe the first clear version of a story they hear, especially if it's expressed calmly and confidently. By setting the frame early, you subtly guide the listener's interpretation and reduce the emotional space for rumor to expand. This is how public figures, leaders, and even diplomats maintain control during crises. They avoid reacting impulsively and instead define the narrative with composed precision. Equally important is what you don't do: dramatize or attack. Neuroscience shows that heightened emotional responses trigger the amygdala, the brain's fear center, which in turn makes people view you as defensive or unstable. Calmness, on the other hand, engages the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for logic and credibility. A composed tone doesn't just sound strong, it neurologically signals trustworthiness to the audience. In practical terms, think of every rumor as a test of your emotional discipline and your ability to lead the story back to truth. Precision in language, not volume, is what reclaims power. When you replace gossip with grounded facts and measured correction, you do more than defend yourself. You demonstrate maturity, reliability, and command. The moment you speak with clarity, the rumor begins to dissolve because it loses its oxygen. Ambiguity. In the end, your calm truth becomes not just your defense, but your quiet authority. Number 3, remove the fuel. Limit audience and exposure. Shame is a social emotion. It thrives on visibility, attention, and collective judgment. It needs eyes to survive. That's why the most effective first response to public shaming isn't retaliation but reduction. Quietly, unfollow or block accounts that amplify the negativity. Mute comment threads that recycle the same criticism. If a post crosses into defamation or harassment, don't hesitate to report or request removal through proper channels. These steps might seem small, but together they form what Machiavelli would have called strategic containment. In his writings, Machiavelli often emphasized prudence, the art of maintaining control over chaos by limiting exposure and managing optics. The principle applies perfectly to the digital age. The more oxygen a flame receives, the brighter it burns. By reducing the audience, you deprive it of fuel. Psychologists refer to this as stimulus control, removing triggers that reinforce a negative emotional response. In the context of social media, every comment, repost, or notification acts as a cue that reactivates the pain of public judgment. By filtering out these stimuli, you're not running from the problem. You're creating emotional distance, allowing your mind to recover its clarity. Research in cyber psychology shows that limiting exposure to online negativity significantly reduces stress hormones like cortisol, which in turn prevents overreactions and impulsive responses that might worsen the situation. This makes containment not only wise, but also scientifically sound. There's also a political brilliance to this tactic. In Machiavellian logic, escalation without strategy is weakness. To respond impulsively to shame is to confirm it. To stay silent and calculated is to redirect the power dynamic. Silence in this sense becomes communication, a way of saying, I decide the terms of this conflict. By controlling your privacy settings, deciding who can share your content, and withdrawing from toxic engagement, you shift the stage away from the mob's theater. You remind the world that you are not a spectacle, but a strategist. This isn't punishment, it's triage. Just as a physician seals a wound to prevent infection, you seal the channels through which shame spreads. Once the noise quiets, reputation can be rebuilt on your own terms. In time, the same audience that once gathered to mock will move on in search of a new target, and you'll have emerged untouched. Proof that power in the modern world belongs not to the loudest voice, but to the calmest mind. Number 4, build strategic alliances. Witnesses, not warriors. Reputation at its core isn't built on loud declarations or dramatic public gestures. It's woven through the invisible threads of human networks. Every person you interact with, colleagues, clients, mentors, or even silent observers, becomes a node in that web. Sociologists call this social capital, a term that describes how relationships themselves hold value. When your reputation takes a hit or needs strengthening, the instinct might be to defend yourself publicly. Yet history and psychology suggest that quiet, deliberate reconnection is far more powerful. By reaching out to those who genuinely matter and sharing authentic updates or subtle achievements, you remind people not of your words, but of your consistency. These moments of personal contact, an email, a coffee chat, or a thoughtful message, carry more credibility than any online statement ever could. In behavioral psychology, this taps into what's known as the mere exposure effect, where familiarity fosters trust. The more people hear from you in calm, genuine ways, the more positively they tend to view you. This approach also mirrors a deeper principle of influence found in both political science and organizational behavior: distributed power. Real influence doesn't sit in the spotlight, it flows through relationships built over time. A few steadfast allies who have witnessed your integrity can do what no viral defense campaign can. They vouch for your character when you're not in the room. In professional ecosystems, this is reputation equity. Employers, collaborators, and peers rely on credible voices to shape their judgments. When these voices speak for you, the collective perception shifts quietly but decisively. Think of it like tending a garden rather than staging a parade. You cultivate each connection with care, and over time those roots become unshakable. There's also a psychological advantage to staying calm and understated during reputation recovery. Studies in crisis management show that excessive self-defense often triggers what's known as the backfire effect, where efforts to correct a narrative actually reinforce doubt. But when you move steadily, sharing evidence of growth through your actions and letting time do its work, you activate the consistency heuristic. People trust what endures. Your calm silence, paired with small visible wins, becomes its own proof. Reputation, after all, isn't a single event. It's a pattern others observe. By quietly nurturing that pattern through meaningful relationships and steady excellence, you turn influence into something resilient, organic, and self-sustaining. No spectacle required. Number 5, repair and redirect actions over rhetoric. Words are the first ripple on the surface of reputation, but actions are the waves that determine its depth. In the realm of public perception, people may forget the noise of accusations, but they rarely forget the quiet consistency of one's behavior. When someone faces shaming, whether online or in daily life, the response becomes a defining moment of character and intelligence. If the criticism holds truth, acknowledging it with humility reflects emotional maturity. Research in social psychology shows that a sincere apology followed by corrective action triggers a phenomenon called moral elevation, where observers feel inspired rather than judgmental. This transforms potential critics into witnesses of growth. But if the shaming is false, reason must replace rage. Instead of retaliating emotionally, the wise respond with evidence and composure. A calm presentation of facts disarms aggression more effectively than any heated argument, because credibility thrives in composure. This is known as the truth bias effect, where audiences subconsciously associate calmness with honesty. Once truth is established, the next step is redirection. In crisis management studies, experts emphasize narrative pivoting, focusing public attention on productive, value-driven actions rather than the controversy itself. Create or contribute to projects that showcase skill, discipline, and contribution to others. Over time, repeated evidence of value reshapes public opinion through a mechanism called behavioral consistency bias. The brain's tendency to trust what it sees, repeated over time. Competence, when visible and sustained, gradually overpowers any slander. In history, many figures have endured defamation, only to reverse their narratives through work. Galileo, once condemned, was later celebrated for discoveries that withstood scrutiny. In modern times, leaders, entrepreneurs, and artists often rebuild their reputation, not through defensive explanations, but through consistent performance and meaningful results. Reputation management experts note that visibility without value fuels gossip, but visibility with purpose cultivates respect. Ultimately, your greatest defense against shaming is mastery over your emotional responses. Neurological studies show that public humiliation activates the same brain regions as physical pain, which is why impulsive reactions are tempting. But those who pause, reflect, and respond with strategy instead of emotion command the psychological high ground. The world forgets scandals when excellence persists. Actions become louder than accusations, and the steady rhythm of competence erases the noise of mockery. The secret lies in patience and precision. Words set the tone, but consistent, dignified action writes the legacy. Number 6, ethically preempt and educate. Teach before they assume. Investing in preemptive clarity is one of the most powerful psychological strategies for maintaining integrity and influence in a world that thrives on misinterpretation. When you take the time to clearly express your values, boundaries, and principles, whether in your bio, an about page, or even a pinned post, you remove the ambiguity that manipulators often exploit. This technique aligns with what social psychologists call expectation management, where setting standards in advance helps others know exactly what to anticipate from you. It's not about oversharing, it's about establishing a transparent code of conduct that communicates confidence and consistency. When people understand how you operate, those with hidden agendas find it difficult to twist your intentions or use shame as a weapon. Shame, after all, is a social control tool. It works best in confusion. But once people recognize it for what it is, a manipulative tactic designed to trigger conformity, it loses its sting. Educating your circle on this dynamic not only protects you, but also builds a more conscious community around you. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago when he wrote about the architecture of reputation. To him, a wise individual doesn't wait for chaos to define them. They build their public character like a fortress long before the storm hits. In modern psychological terms, this mirrors the concept of reputation capital, a social asset that, when cultivated intentionally, acts as a shield against defamation and misjudgment. Think of it like strengthening the walls of a castle before a siege. When the attacks come, your structure holds firm. Preemptive clarity transforms your presence from reactive to proactive. It allows you to lead the narrative about who you are, rather than leaving it in the hands of others. By combining education, transparency, and strategic communication, you don't just protect your name, you elevate it into a symbol of grounded authority that stands resilient even when surrounded by the noise of misunderstanding. The point is not to become cruel in return. The point is to be unassailable in character, deliberate in choices, and patient in strategy. The true Machiavellian wisdom worth keeping is not how to wound, but how to preserve what matters: your dignity, your work, and your relationships. When you stop trading in reactions and start trading in measured moves, shame stops being a tidal wave and becomes, at worst, a passing current. Practice the quiet architecture above until the noise loses interest. Having said this, choose actions that protect others as you protect yourself. Strength with restraint is the only kind that lasts.